This is Dates and Mates with your host, Damona Hoffman.
Hey, lovers, welcome to Dates and Mates. I'm your host, Damona Hoffman, your source for advice on modern love and how to navigate the tricky situations in dating and relationships in the modern world. I know y'all are stressed out because it's holiday season, but I have an exciting show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about the color of love. We'll be talking about how to bridge the gap when you're dating someone of a different race, even though we're all the human race, but you know what I'm talking about. If you are with someone who's from a different culture, how do you navigate that? And what's really going on, especially for Black women in today's dating world. We'll also be talking about Meghan Markle, the first biracial royal, or is she? We'll talk about the sexiest voice for singles. Maybe you want to get a little accent if you want to get a little action this holiday season. We have a surefire Tinder trick that you've been missing out on. And we'll talk, this is a serious story, we'll talk about the hidden dangers of relationships. And of course, we have your questions in Technically Dating. The questions that come in from the Textpert app, like, what do you do if your boyfriend's kid calls you mom? And how to handle your racist parents when you want to bring home a Black guy. My guest co-host for today is Dr. Aesha. She is the person to tackle this topic with me today. She is affectionately called the Love Doctor. She is the winning matchmaker on season 2 of GSN's hit matchmaking show, It Takes a Church. She's a powerful speaker, and Dr. Aesha empowers and educates audiences to create a lasting legacy of love, marriage, and family. Please give big smooches to Dr. Aesha.
Hey, hey.
Okay. We have some serious topics to talk about.
Yes.
But you know, it's the holidays, so let's also keep it fun. Okay. But I know you're also known as the Black Love Matchmaker, and this show, we have a lot of Black women that listen to the show. But this show, trust me, is not just for the Black women listening, because I think everyone has that feeling of being isolated, being a little bit different when they're dating, and sometimes dating outside of the traditional pool, and you know, there's all these studies. Like, first, let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
The OkCupid study that came out a few years ago said that Black women receive fewer responses. They send the most messages, but they receive the fewest responses of any
people group.
I really
Let's
cannot
call it
say
a people
race.
group.
I don't like to say it. Any people group. I don't know about these statistics, but maybe you can help me break it down. Do you think that do you think online dating has something against Black women? Let's just cut to the chase.
I don't think online dating has something against Black women. I think there are so many stories about Black women that we did not begin and create that affect how we're seen.
Oh, go on.
So how many people have seen Scandal or How to Get Away with Murder or Being Mary Jane? And so there's this image of powerful, successful Black women who are chronically single. And they're chronically single because they're secretly crazy.
Oh.
And that's the story, right? That's the story about Black women. So I think and that's just one of the stories about Black women. So I think when people just see a photo online, that they bring all of these perceptions to that picture before they even swipe, before they even have a conversation with that woman. And it can be that she's crazy, or it can be that she's just a sex toy and a fetish and a flavor, which is what I've heard from a lot of my clients, is that when they're sometimes approached by a man who's not Black, then that's the conversation, that it immediately goes to sex.
Really? I mean, this is something, you know, I hosted a show called #BlackLove and helped 5 single women, chronically single women in New York City to find love. And something that came up was this idea of fetishism.
Yes.
And I kind of shot it down, because I think that if someone is for the first time stepping outside of their comfort zone when they're dating, I think anything can seem like a fetish because they're curious. And I believe there's a difference between wanting to understand and explore somebody else's culture and only dating them because they are of that culture, so you can get a notch on your belt. But you're seeing with your clients that they are trying to get that.
Yeah, they'll say things like, "I've never had a black woman before," as though it is, and
it's
they're
a
an
delicacy.
object. Yeah, like what does that mean? You've never had a black woman before, and you also have to take in the history. We have to bring history into this.
Well, let's have a history lesson.
Okay, so I'm a real professor. I'm a real doctor. I didn't print off the PhD from online. So I'm gonna put on my professor hat. This is what I did in college, and so if you look at history. The relationship in slavery and how slave owners would exploit black women. So there's this whole sexualization of black women that is unspoken. It's an unspoken history. Like no one's saying that when they walk up to a sister, right? But it's just been in the fabric of our media and our conversations and the history, books. And so it's almost like they can't help but to react to black women that way. It's almost like a subconscious reaction to women unless they are aware of it. So they have to be clear that, I'm just excited about, exploring your culture versus on my very first text, I'm asking you, are you rough and tough in the bedroom? Like I've heard that black women are.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's nasty.
I mean, that's nasty. Any text about how you are in the bedroom, like right off the bat, is not the guy that you want to date.
No.
I have a theory, Dr. Aesha.
Okay, let me hear.
Because I think that with a site like OkCupid, where you are self-selecting what all of these fields, race or ethnicity, and level of education, level of income, all of these things, I think black women in some cases they're just not thought of. So I think on a site like this, you do get fewer people that are finding black women and reaching out to them because they're not part of their thought process. They're not part of the consciousness. However, I'm really curious, and I've talked to my friends at Match and at Black People Meet, which they're all part of the Match group, about really studying the difference on dating apps when it's based on the physical attraction first. I think that we're going to see a shift and more interracial relationships being formed because from these dating apps, because I think that when you are looking at the person, you're like, oh, she's attractive, but you maybe didn't think of dating a black woman.
Maybe. I'm just going to give you a maybe.
The good doctor gave me a maybe, Producer Thomas.
That's like a B+. If
That's
that
a
was
B+?
a paper, yeah. I give you a
Okay,
B+.
I'll have to work on my theory a little bit. I don't have the data to support it, but that's why I asked them. They do the Singles in America study.
Yeah.
And I said, you really should study it and see if there's a difference between the sites where people are actively saying, I want this, 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 and this, and then the sites where it's swipe-based and image-based. But let's talk about, since you are a professor and you do like a good study, you were telling me about a study in 2009 at Yale where they looked at black marriage and they found that 42% of educated black women marry versus 84% of white women. And of course, there were all these headlines in the media like, oh, why is marriage eluding black women? Why can't they get a man? Why are so many black women single?
What's wrong with them?
What's wrong with them? What's wrong with this headline?
Exactly.
First of all,
exactly.
What's your take on why they got these sort of numbers, and what do you think is really happening in the black community around marriage?
Well, I think marriage in general in America, if you look at statistics, it's declining.
That's
just
true.
all over.
True.
So it's not that there's something wrong with black women, like that we're unmarriageable. There's something wrong with black women. But those numbers from the study are a little skewed because they looked at women from the ages of 18 to like 35. Well, how many 18-year-olds do you know that are getting married just like every weekend? And so there was another group of social scientists who looked at numbers around more realistic marrying ages, and they saw that 75% of educated black women were getting married. That's huge.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, from 42 to 75.
So basically, white people are marrying at very young ages.
And black women are told to go to college, go get a master's and get a PhD, and wait until...
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I do think that there is a feeling in the Black community that you have to work twice as hard to have half as much.
Yeah.
And so to be successful as a Black woman, you're told, get your education, make a name for yourself. Right. And this is an epidemic that I'm seeing of women of all backgrounds, that when you put the focus on your education and your career first, you're marrying, they're marrying later.
Much later, yeah.
Or they're having trouble finding someone because they put their career and their education first, and now all those good guys are already marriaged up.
That's right.
So what do you say to those ladies that come to you? Because I'm sure you have a lot of them.
Oh, yeah. All of them.
You have all of them.
All of them have that story,
How do you debunk that story?
Well, I help them to see that focusing on their education, their success, their career, that's only 10% of who they are, really. There's a whole life outside of your career and climbing the corporate ladder and building an empire, which is, the phrase they always say, I want to build an empire. Well, that's great, building an empire, but you're going to do it by yourself. And so I always ask them, it's not just about a degree, but who's going to care for you when you get a scary diagnosis or you lose a loved one or you have a goal that you want to accomplish and you did it. Who are you going to go home to and celebrate that with? And that kind of makes them go, oh, like it's not just important for me to have a PhD and him to have a PhD, because that's another thing. Like they want him to be as educated. It's like, let's look at the things that actually matter in relationships. Is he kind? Right? Can he take care of you? Is he sensitive? Can he communicate? And so that's how I can shift that conversation for them, is that it's not just about the institution that you graduated from, but are you ready, and is he ready for the institution of marriage?
So what do you recommend in terms of tangible steps for those women once they've shifted their perception? How do they get from point A to point B? Should they be... We know that the dating sites aren't necessarily aren't necessarily a level playing field. What do they do to find the kind of men that they should be dating? So
we have to kind of disrupt a lot of the cultural conditioning that a lot of them have around acting like a lady, which is huge. And what that means for a lot of them is I sit back and he approaches me. And so they will wait and wait and wait and nobody's approaching. And so they feel like downloading a dating app is not being a lady. That's being desperate. That's chasing a man. So I have to disrupt that thought and say it's okay to be strategic with your love life, because I think some people feel like it has to happen organically for it to be real. But if that's the case, you are addicted to drama.
Yeah,
like
right?
you like the highs and the ebbs and the flows of like, oh, he's into me. No, he's not. You can be strategic. And so we have to now define your dating pool. We got to position you well on there. I make them take professional photos because they've got to stand out from all the selfies if they want anybody to swipe or inbox them. I have to write a profile for them that does not make them sound like the corporate queen, and they actually have to sound like a girlfriend.
Right, but because that's how they've gotten recognized in the past. Like, look at all of my accomplishments.
Yeah.
Here's my resume. And it's like,
this is not an
that is
interview.
not your love resume.
Right.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So it's different things that would attract a man. Do some of your clients choose to date men of different backgrounds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that is probably another hurdle to get over, because I think sometimes Black women feel like, oh, if I couldn't find a Black man, I somehow failed.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, producer Tom. now I'll just have to get one of the white ones, I mean, I did too. I have one of the white ones.
For the record, I'm Armenian.
See? Yeah.
Well, you're white other.
White other on
We
the
discussed
SAT.
this.
Yes.
I mean, how do you get them over that hurdle? That like love is love. Like I started the show. What is the color of love? Mm-hmm. Does love have a color?
Yeah, I mean, they have to. There's also this idea that Black women are supposed to save the whole community. And that's why we need to marry a Black man, is that we have to preserve the Black family. Mm-hmm. And so that's a lot of responsibility to have to carry when Black men don't always think like that. Not all of them, right? Like they're like, hey, I like you, you like me, let's do it. And so, so I have to help women.
I've never had a white woman before.
So I have to help them like emancipate themselves from all of that and say, just open up. It's okay.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking a little bit about opening up the dating pool because it's time for the dish.
Dee's dating dish.
Okay, there's one very famous story of someone who's opened up the dating pool. Meghan Markle, you guys have heard the news. She is set to wed Prince Harry in spring of 2018. So kudos to them. I forgot to cue up a hurrah.
We got a little applause.
We got a little hurrah.
There we go.
Oh, and that's such
To the happy couple.
the happy couple. It's a really formal. It
It's
feels like a
theater.
royal
Yeah,
family.
yeah, procession.
Yes. So the headline, however, everyone's like, oh, first it became he's marrying a black woman, and then they're like, oh, well, she's biracial. They kind of backstep that a little bit, and then they're like, it's the first black woman in the royal family. What does this really mean? Except for everybody forgot about Princess Queen Charlotte. Princess Charlotte. Look, Princess Queen. She was queen. Charlotte.
She was queen.
Okay, so Charlotte, this is way back in 1744, but I mean, she was from a royal family, but they believe that she was from a Moorish family. And if you see the photos, the drawings of her, I mean, she had hair kind of like mine. Like, she definitely looks like there's some in there. There's some in there. So Meghan is not the first one, but I mean, do you feel, Dr. Aesha, like this is still a significant moment, and is this in a way a sign of the times that, like, even the fact that she's divorced is a little bit of a departure when Queen Elizabeth II wouldn't even allow her sister to marry a man who'd been divorced back in the 1950s, not even that long ago. Have we had a cultural sea change that Prince Harry is now putting on the public stage for us?
I think it's significant, maybe just optically, for us to see it. That he's kind of like, I love her, and I wanted her the first time I saw her, and we're going to do this. And that the royal family is like, we're all excited and we're happy for you. I think it is interesting, though, that even though they're saying our love is colorblind, that is not necessarily what the culture is saying. And so if you go on, you'll see a lot of internet trolls saying a lot of horrible, nasty things about it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them.
And so I think it does matter here, that race does matter. Even if it doesn't matter to them in their relationship, it matters to how people are responding to seeing an interracial relationship of this magnitude, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's very brave of her to be willing to even take this on. And I actually have known Meghan and her mom for a long time, separately, very randomly. And they're both people that, like, don't really care what other people think of them. And I think it takes a really special woman to be able to put herself in the public eye, knowing that people, I mean, she said she was a little blindsided by how much attention has been given to it, because I think, especially as a person of mixed race living in LA, it's just like, oh, you don't think about it, except for then when the internet trolls come out, you get to know just how black you really are.
Exactly. Right.
But whether she's the first or not, I think it's really great to have this couple being in the public eye, and I think it is both a signifier that attitudes have changed, and I think it is also something that will lead other people to shift their perceptions.
Yeah, I mean, you got Serena, I know. There's just a lot of high-profile women who are like, I'm marrying who I want to marry. And I think it's giving other women courage.
That's good. Love wins. Okay, so you probably have heard that British accents are sexy, right? In the past. I mean, Meghan clearly fell for it. But is it still the sexiest accent? There was a study, of course.
Of course.
There's always
Gotta
a study. By Miss Travel, of all sites, which is basically kind of a sugar daddy travel site. Totally reputable source on this.
There were some interesting ads that came out.
Oh, really? Yeah, you're doing research for this show.
Yeah,
You
I think I was
probably
on a work computer too at the time.
Oh, no.
Thomas. So this is what it found, that heterosexual women still preferred to have a man with a British accent. However, heterosexual men, guess what accent they thought was the hottest? Israeli.
Really? I would have thought maybe Latina.
No, because they all saw Wonder Woman, and they were like, "That's
right.
sexy."
They want.
By the way, I finally saw Wonder Woman last week. I saw it on the plane.
How was it?
I don't get it.
You don't like it? I was in the theater like, I am Wonder Woman. At the end, it was just so, yeah.
I don't like
No, you don't like
superhero stuff, and I was just like, "Oh, so it's basically just a superhero movie except for with a girl." I was like,
That's culturally significant. I think that's a notable.
takes a lot to impress me. But I like her, and she does have a very sexy accent, and I like women in power, so it's good. But it just seems like we just keep confirming that British accents are sexy. I personally can't understand them very well. So like it drove a big wedge between me and my husband because he likes British comedies and I had a hard time following. But maybe I can get cultured too now that Meghan
Maybe they
Markle
like
is.
the royal British accent, not the countryside.
The Cockney.
Yeah, not the.
Yeah, that one. Hey, I did study.
go.
I did study theater. I do know how to do an accent. Well, if you don't have the accent, you can use some other tricks to get people to pay attention to your profile. Tinder did a study. I got to come through for the professor,
You are coming
right?
through.
So they studied 3.7 million profiles, no small sample size here. And they found that if you mention food, your popularity dramatically increases. I would have thought it would have been cliche because I hear from people that are like, "Oh, I'm so tired of everyone saying I'm a foodie." But this is how attitudes don't always match actions. And if you mention you're a foodie, you can get an 82% boost of your profile responses. And if you like cooking, 26% boost. So I guess it's a good thing to say that as long as you're not saying anything about fried chicken, because that will decrease your messages by 15%.
Wonder why.
Maybe they think that is
Unhealthy?
base and vile and it is not an elevated food. If you are a foodie, you will have baked chicken, like Harry and Meghan.
A roasted chicken.
A roasted chicken is very sexy.
Yes.
A fried chicken is just salt of the earth.
Right. Well, the weird one was that like potatoes increase your response by like 100%. I was like, who's ever talked about potatoes?
And guacamole, which I hate. I've been accused of not being a real Californian because I don't like avocados or guacamole.
That is kind of an affront.
Yeah.
Well, clearly,
Why? It's because it's green or mushy or both.
maybe it shows that you are adventurous and you like things with a little color and spice. I don't know. 144% increase in your message response if you mention guacamole.
Okay.
What are those messages, though, Dr. Aesha?
Well,
like, hey,
there's so much.
I'd like to dip my chip in your guacamole.
If somebody does that, then we have a problem. But maybe, there's so much that happens over a meal and family and some people just hungry. And they're just like, oh, you like food, then I'm going to get a good meal when I'm with you. And maybe I won't have to think about and just have a stupid salad. I can have guacamole.
See, I love a good salad. And it turns out even mentioning salad it can give you a boost.
Really?
Salad is good.
Maybe in L.A.
The coast.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely in LA. I feel like we're having too much fun for this next story, but I gotta let people know what's really happening because there's some statistics that came out that showed that violence in relationships is actually on the rise, and especially for females 16 to 24 who are 3 times more likely to fall victim to partner violence. I was really shocked to read that so many young women are becoming victims here, and especially if they break up with someone, the danger of violence increases by 70% after the breakup. I'm wondering, why is it that more people are reporting this, or are we becoming more violent?
Or maybe we aren't really educating young people and they're becoming, more romantically involved in relationships when they're not ready for it yet.
Ooh.
And they don't understand attachment and they don't understand what boundaries are and they don't know how to say, I don't belong to you. And then they won't go and tell mama or daddy if something is happening. So I think there probably is a lot of things going on. But I don't think that at 16 you're really ready to be like in a very serious, I love you, you're the, light of my life kind of relationship, I don't think your brain is developed yet.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I've actually been surprised to learn, I've been doing a little research for an article that I'm writing after reading about Naya Rivera, who was arrested for domestic violence. She hit her husband while they were on a walk with their son.
Really?
Yes. So there may or may not have been substances involved, or alcohol involved, but that's another factor, I think, and we're all hopped up on Vicodin and pain pills, and right? I mean, not me. I'm hopped up on lactate and Aleve cold and sinus.
Yes.
But aside from that, I think, substance abuse is really becoming a problem, and maybe that is triggering a lot of the violence. So I just have been doing a little bit of research. It's not always the men, being the perp. Sometimes women are assaulting their guys. And so if you're curious to read a little bit more about that, I will have an article on BET.com about what drives women in relationships to violence. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook to get a link to the article as soon as it posts at Damona Hoffman. We're going to take a quick break, and Dr. Aesha is going to stick with me. By the way, she's also on the socials at Dr. Aesha, Doctor. Y'all have to spell it out.
Because otherwise it looks like Dracia.
It's not Dracia, Dr. Aesha. And she's going to join me to talk about your questions in Technically Dating right after the short break, where I tell you about my new favorite thing. I'm your host, Damona Hoffman, and this is Dates and Mates. If your wedding planning is going anything like mine did, you're stressed to the max right now, and you have no idea what to put on your wedding registry. So friends, I have just the solution for your wedding planning woes. It's Zola.com. This is no ordinary wedding registry. It's free, easy to use, and it's fun. Zola Registry has everything you love about your favorite department store, plus things like honeymoon funds, fitness classes, wine subscriptions, and so much more. Oh, Zola also lets you customize your registry so you can tell people exactly why you want certain gifts. I wish I had their planning tools when I was getting my married life started off. But this is your big day. And hopefully, if you're following my advice, you'll only do this once. So let's get this right. Sign up today with Zola and you can get a $50 credit towards your registry with my special code, Zola.com/dates. That's ZOLA.com/dates, DATES. Before my wedding, I remember how badly I wanted a KitchenAid stand mixer, but I didn't have the money to get one myself. So I registered for it with the pasta attachment, of course. And when I came back from my culinary honeymoon in Italy, I could wow my friends with fresh homemade pasta. 10 years later, I'm still impressing them with that same KitchenAid mixer. And with group gifting on Zola Registry, big ticket items like the stand mixer can be split up among friends and family. And their friendly customer service team will go above and beyond to help you pick out the perfect items for your registry or even walk grandma through the purchase process. You know how grandma can be with her iPhone. Oh, and speaking of iPhones, you can manage your registry on the Zola Weddings app for iPhone and Android. So go ahead and register for that KitchenAid stand mixer. You deserve it, and your guests want to get it for you at Zola.com/dates. Don't forget to use my special code for your $50 registry credit. That's Zola.com, ZOLA.com/dates. Welcome back to Dates and Mates. You're still here with me, dating and relationship expert Damona Hoffman, and my guest co-host for today, Dr. Aesha, is going to join me to answer your questions.
Let's do it.
Let's do it in Technically Dating.
Technically Dating.
All right, Dr. Aesha, our questions come to us from the Techspert app, which you can download for free and get immediate answers to your most pressing dating dilemmas, or get a chance to have your question answered on a future Dates and Mates show. So let's kick it off with a female from California. Okay, she says, my boyfriend has a daughter, and she just turned 1. So his baby's mother is not in his daughter's life, or their daughter's life, and so she chose to leave, so she hasn't been around. Now, yesterday, the daughter had a birthday, and they had a party, and she's been dating him for 2 months.
Oh.
And his daughter said, Her first words, mama.
Oh.
She called the girlfriend mama.
Oh.
Her first words. Ooh. He said he's okay with her calling me that, and so is his family. But she's wondering if that's right or wrong. 2 months is a little early.
A little early to be playing mama.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too early.
Let's back it up a second, because a lot of people ask me when they're in a relationship and they have kids, how soon should you introduce your kids to your partner? It seems like even with a 1-year-old, 2 months is really soon to even be bringing this girl into your family
To
events.
the party.
The birthday party.
Yeah, well, the whole family is there. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's right or wrong, like, this is wrong, but I would say I would have a conversation with him and say, I don't think that's really a good thing for your daughter to be calling me mom, because we haven't really established a long-term relationship yet. And I don't want to, destabilize her life any more than it already is. So could you please tell her to call me Aesha and not mama?
Yeah, and also, like, it's obviously not the kid's fault, but somebody had to place that idea in her head. I don't know if it's a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of if it makes you uncomfortable, you have to voice it.
Yes.
And don't take it up with the kid. She's too young.
Right.
But I think you have to say something to your partner before things get really serious. And when you're introducing a partner into your kid's life, you have to really think about the fact that your kid is forming a relationship with that person as well. And it sounds like she already has in 2 short months. And if you break up with that partner, you're ripping them away from the person that they've formed a relationship with.
And this is not just any relationship. She's saying mama. So that can make her feel abandoned.
Yeah, and that already happened to her once, that poor kid.
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that you have found somebody that you love and that loves you and wants to incorporate you into your life, but just pump the brakes a little bit, female from California. I have another question, Dr. Aesha, from another gal. Okay. She says, okay, this is serious. You ready?
I'm ready.
She says, this guy I've been dating for a while is black, and my parents are pretty racist. Ooh. We aren't exclusive yet, and I don't know how to tell my parents. She says, like, he's a great guy. He has great grades. He has future goals. I just want my parents to approve because I really like him. What's your advice? Okay.
How old is this young woman?
She's young. I mean, they're in school, so it sounds like they're.
So she's still living with mom and dad. And granny them. And those are the people that have the racist conversations around Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
And now she wants to bring her black boyfriend to say, hi, guess who's coming to dinner?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
That is tough.
So you're not exclusive yet. I think you're going to have some hard conversations, real conversations, I'll put it that way, with your boyfriend. Because it's not really fair to him for you to bring him into this really toxic environment yet. And she can't leave yet to say, who cares what you think? I'm going to still love him, because she's still kind of young. So maybe you need to not tell them yet until you are old enough to leave.
And also until you're actually exclusive, because you might be head over heels for him, but we don't know where it's headed. So unless you're really wanting to have that fight with your parents because you are determined to be with someone of a different background and they're going to have to get over it and deal with it now, I think that is a fight for another day.
Another day.
And when you really do have a commitment, and then you can say, I'm with this person no matter what. Because what if you go out on a limb and you're like, this is who I love, and then the next day he's like, you know what, I'm just really not ready for a commitment. But I'm very sorry for the people whose parents are not tolerant. Yeah. And it might be race for her, but for someone else, maybe it's something different. Maybe maybe you're dating someone of the same gender and your parents are not tolerant of that, or it's a religious thing, or whatever it is. I think love is love, and you have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in, and maybe sacrifice a relationship there.
You have to have boundaries.
Yeah,
and
but
sometimes you can lose your family around it, but you gain another one.
Exactly. And don't think you're going to suddenly change their mind after one conversation. It might be a long process.
Yeah, so dig in, baby girl.
Dig in and let us know how it goes. Yes. We have another female. She's from Texas. I'm sure you've heard something like this before, Dr. Aesha. She says, I've been I've been screwed over so many times. Is it easy to trust a person again when you really like the person? I need some answers. So she likes someone, but she has fear because she's been messed over in the past. So she thinks that's going to happen to her again. I know you're dealing with this with your clients.
All the time. All the time.
Yes. So how what do you say to this gal?
What I say to her is that she has to learn to not trust other people more than she trusts herself. And sometimes that's the way to get over fear of trusting someone, is to learn I can trust myself to make good decisions. I can trust myself if I see red flags, I'm going to leave. I can trust myself to speak up if I need to. And if you can trust yourself, the more you trust yourself, the easier it is to trust other people. And so you also have to change that story that you're telling yourself about how you've been screwed over and over again. Tell yourself a more empowering story, and you'll let go of all that negative energy associated with the past. Because you can't let your past determine your future.
Yeah, I see too many people that are it's almost like you condition yourself to look for the same thing. And then if you're focused on, oh, well, when is he going to screw me over?
Waiting for the shoe to drop.
You're waiting for the shoe to drop. You're going to find a shoe. If you start looking for a shoe, you'll be like, oh, that was it. That was the shoe. That was when he messed over me.
He didn't text me back right away.
Yeah, that's when he messed over me. And you got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Like, no guy wants to be walking on eggshells of your past relationships, strewn about the floor of love. You can't have him tiptoeing around. If you really like this guy, you got to trust, right?
That's right.
And open up and take a risk.
I love what Dr. Maya Angelou said. She said, always have enough courage to trust love again, and always one more time. Just give it another time, every time. It's just like, one more time, I'm going to trust.
And she, of all people, had enough reason to not trust. Right? She went through it.
Yes.
But I think that's a good quote. You have to, and I love Maya Angelou quotes. I use her platitudes all the time on Instagram. So, yeah, I think you have to also realize that when you're going into a relationship, you have to take a leap of faith at some point.
Yes.
And I mean, you're married as well. Being in a relationship, it's a constant leap of faith where you're just like, I just have to trust this person, and I know that I love him and he loves me. But it doesn't go away. It's showing up every day and trusting every day.
Every day. And love always exposes your deepest fears. So that's not the problem. Feeling fear is not the problem. It's what are you going to do about it?
Ooh. That was deep.
Wasn't that deep? We're swimming in deep water.
Yes, we are. I'm loving this. By the way, there's so much more of what Dr. Aesha is dishing out today at blacklovematchmaker.com. We're not done. We're not done. I just wanted to tell you that because y'all need to check her out because she is dropping truth bombs right here.
School you.
Okay, so this comes to us from a female. She's 22. She's just wondering what is the best place to meet someone. But she adds that she's not looking for cheaters, players, short-term relationships, or bums.
That sounds like somebody's dating profile, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like keep swiping.
I'm open to love, and I'm really ready to give myself over to this relationship. But don't even try and contact me if you don't have a job, if you're a bum, if you're a cheater, you're a player. Don't even try and talk to me.
Don't even swipe.
So what does that say when somebody has a profile like that? What's
negativity, drama? It's like stay away. This person doesn't just have walls around their head; they got spikes. And so here's the thing: 90% of the people in the dating pool are not the right person for you. And so obviously you're not looking for a cheater, a liar. You're not looking for that kind of person, but they might appear. So you have to learn how to screen out people in the dating pool. You have to learn how to pick the right person. So there's nothing we can tell you to say, well, on this dating app, there are no liars or cheaters.
That's the thing. I feel like online dating gets a bad rap because people are like, oh, look at all the liars and the catfish on dating apps. And it's like, look at all the liars and the catfish in the bar, wherever you go to meet people.
Like, how do you know?
Whole Foods. Yeah, Whole Foods is crawling with lying cheaters.
They're not really vegans. They're in there.
Right? They're like, I really appreciate a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. I actually, this is a tangential story, but after I had my daughter, I think, I gained a little weight and my ring didn't fit. And my husband is a vegetarian, and I was searching in the grocery store for some food for him, and this guy came up and started talking to me, and I was like, actually, I'm married. I'm searching for my vegetarian husband. He was so happy to meet someone in the vegetarian foods aisle.
You were his soulmate.
He was I was his soulmate. Little did he know it was actually my husband. And he got so mad at me. He's like, then why aren't you wearing a wedding ring? It's like, well, because it doesn't fit. Yeah. Maybe if I ate some of that vegetarian food, I could get my ring on. I don't know. Totally sidebar, tangential story. But don't be mad at a woman if she turns you down. Yeah. Jeez, she's saving you. She's saving you some stress. Okay, this one is from a guy. He is. He's 18. He's a youngin'. Okay. He says, I need help. My girlfriend and I love each other a lot, but we live in 2 separate states. It's about 4 hours, but we can't see each other often, and I need some advice on how to keep it lively in long distance.
Aww.
And then he repeats again how much he loves her.
Aw, that's so sweet.
But he's worried. He says they're getting a little shaky, and he wants to find anything that can make it better. Okay. Long distance relationships are not for the faint of heart.
Not at all.
And I'm seeing this a lot more with online dating because it does open up your dating pool, but then you have to be willing, I think, to at least put in the extra effort, or there has to be a potential endpoint where one of you is going to move to see the other one. You know, and he's on the young side, so I think he doesn't know where his life may be headed. Maybe it's 4 hours away, but maybe it's 4 hours in the other direction.
That's right.
How can they keep it lively when they're so far apart?
I like to tell my clients to use technology. So you could watch a movie together on FaceTime, right? And so you're in your state, she's in hers, but you're watching the same movie, or you're Netflixing and chilling. You know?
I don't know about that one.
I'm not talking about taking any clothes off. I'm just saying being nice,
literally just watching
literally,
Netflix.
what are we going to watch? Yeah.
Okay,
but
I
doing
got you.
it together virtually.
I mean, you could do the Netflix and chill virtually.
I'm not going to tell him that. His mama might get him.
I think that's a great idea. I actually, when you are starting a relationship with someone long distance, that's one of my recommendations is to have real Skype dates where like you're going to go out for sushi and you each pick up sushi and you sit across from each other on the computer. And it's like you're sitting across from each other at the restaurant, but you have to replicate that situation of being together. I mean, it sounds like they're past that point, but they're getting a little bit shaky. I think it all comes down to communication, doesn't it?
It does.
So you need to find another tool.
Yeah. And then you might have to have a conversation with her about why she might be feeling a little shaky. Maybe we don't want to say, but there might be somebody in town, like there's just a lot of things that can happen with long distance relationships. So you got to talk, and you can't let a lot of time go in between when you're talking.
Yeah. And ask for what you need. Yes. Because he might think it's shaky, but maybe she's just busy at school or something. Yeah. And then we get all caught up with what's happening in our head. And we're like, oh, well, he didn't call me when he usually does. So that must mean he doesn't like me anymore. We don't need to tell all those stories to ourselves. Tell yourself the positive stories, but get the real scoop. Yeah. Right from the horse's mouth. Okay, one more question. Okay. This is from a female. She's 27. She lives in New York. And she says, I love my boyfriend, but he doesn't treat me well. She says, I want to be with him, but I end up crying every day. How do you let go when you have such strong feelings? Ooh.
Deep one. That's deep.
We're swimming in it. We might as well.
Okay, let's just go even deeper. Let's go under the waters. That is a hard one because the heart wants what it wants, right? But I think you need to come to terms with this by telling yourself the total and complete truth.
Yes.
Because if you keep saying, I love him, but he's hurting me, then you're giving yourself a reason to stay. And so every woman who's been in on again, off again relationships always say that, well, he treats me better than he makes me cry. Right? Because that's how we go back. But you need to look at all the stuff that's hurting you and ask yourself a really serious question. Is this the best I can do?
Ooh, that's a deep question. And a lot of times people don't want the answer, so they don't ask the question. Yes. And then they keep staying in these kind of relationships. But bottom line, your partner should make you feel good about yourself and feel happy when you're with them. Yes. And it's not even like it's not a tally situation where, well, he did this nice thing, but he also called me a fat
Yeah,
pig. It's
right.
like, he called you fat pig. Like, that's all you need to know.
Yes.
And he should always be treating you with respect.
That's right.
So I love these questions.
They are good.
They're good questions. You can also ask us a question. You can DM it to me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Damona Hoffman. You can download the Textpert app for free and post your questions there, and it could get answered on a future show. Or you could always reach out to Dr. Aesha.
Yes.
She's on Instagram, Twitter at Dr. Aesha. And you can also visit her website at blacklovematchmaker.com. So we're coming towards the end of the show. We still have a couple segments, but one that we have to do with you is our dating ...
Okay.
So in this segment, I will say a phrase, and you will complete it with your first instinct on love advice.
All right.
You ready, Dr. Aesha?
I'm ready.
You didn't pre-plan this. This is
didn't.
all off the cuff.
Off the
Okay.
cuff.
This is the best advice here. Number 1, blank is always sexy.
Confidence.
Number 2, blank is never sexy.
Bad breath.
Ooh. Oh no. Number 3, the biggest red flag on a dating profile is
Negativity and drama.
number 4. The most common first date mistake is
Talking about politics.
ooh. I have an article on BET about that
do you?
today. Number 5, the most important quality in a wife is
Trust.
the most important quality in a husband is
Kindness.
kindness. I like that. Well, those are some good answers, and I like your off the cuff advice. So we're going to play another game. It's the holiday season. A lot of people are asking me, what do I get for my partner? So I picked some of the most popular gifts for men and women, and we're going to talk about why they are a good or bad gift. So I'm just going to let you, I have them all on different pieces of paper here. I'm going to let you pick one and
So exciting.
read it off. So
Men. Sports equipment.
sports equipment. Good gift, not good gift. I would say it's good if it's the sport that they like. Not like what you want them to do, but just know that it might be something that allows him to do activities
Away
apart
from
from
you.
you, right?
That's right.
People don't think about
They
that.
don't. So make sure you buy a matching set for yourself and you tell them you're coming with them.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Then
you
that's
wanna
an
go.
excellent gift.
If you want to go.
Well, if you don't want him to be away from you all the time, just come and sit. I'm just going to come and watch you, baby.
My husband's really into soccer, and I'm just so happy that you go do your soccer, I'll go do my thing. All right, let's pick a gift for a woman. Let's
Okay.
see. All right.
All right, ladies, let's see what this is. Oh, Lord. Women appliances.
It's true. Guys do get us appliances.
Why?
I will say one of my favorite gifts ever. I wanted a dustbuster for Christmas.
And you got it?
And I got it, and that thing brings me joy every day. When my kids are dropping crumbs, I just it's a gift for us, really.
Yeah.
But like, don't bring me any kitchen equipment because that's not going to get you very far.
I mean, this might work if you need a new juicer or something like that and you're starting a new, lifestyle journey. But please don't get her some pots and pans.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
like, what does that say?
I want you to cook more.
Right? Okay, let's do one more for men.
Okay. Tools.
Tools. Again, that's saying, hey, hang this thing up
Yes,
for me.
do some work.
Do some work. Have you ever gotten your husband a tool?
No.
No.
No, he's not really handy like that.
Yeah.
Who uses tools anymore? I feel like that's blasé.
You have an app, just get a task
I'll get
rabbit
a
or
guy.
something.
Get a guy. Get a guy. Okay, let's pick for women.
Okay. Jewelry.
Jewelry. I think jewelry can be good, but you have to know their style.
Yeah.
Because you can get the wrong jewelry for sure.
Mhm. That's true.
I'll tell you another story. One time my husband got jewelry from the store that he knew I liked, but he got me one where he was like, if you don't like it, you can take it in the store and trade it in. And that jewelry ended up being twice as expensive because then I went to the store and I saw everything else that was there and I left with 3 things instead of one, and then I ended up spending even more, which was their trick in saying you can just turn it in and get something different. What do you like jewelry as a gift?
I do, but I'm not really big into like expensive jewelry. I like really creative, eccentric type stuff. So I might, if you give me some pearls, I'm like, those are cute, but I really would like this statement necklace over here.
Yeah, you got to know your audience.
That's right.
I think one of the best gifts that I think you can never go wrong about is a gift that is an experience that you can share
love it.
together, because
Yes.
that's a memory that you'll create. So if you're wondering what to do for your partner, I say get an experience, plan something that you know that they'll like for the next year, and that says, we're going to be together in the future. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Aesha.
Thank
You
you for
are
having
so
me.
fantastic, and people can find out more about you at
Come
blacklovematchmaker.com
visit me.
or at Dr. Aesha on the socials. I'm on the socials at Damona Hoffman. Go ahead and send me a question for a future show on Twitter or Instagram. And don't forget, if you're wedding planning or you're shopping for someone who is getting married, check out Zola.com. And remember, if you're planning a wedding registry, you can get a $50 credit, and that can go a long way towards some of those gifts that you really want at zola.com/dates. That's ZOLA.com/dates. Don't forget to tell a friend about the show. Leave us a review. Let us know why you love Dates and Mates, and we'll keep making more of it. We'll see you again next week. And until then, happy dating.